Hey everyone, welcome to ONYX Pages. I'm in Jerry. So this is my November TBR, but I'm going to be really gentle with myself because November is already a really busy month. There's a lot that's happening in terms of my work, and my father's 78th birthday was 2 days ago. Happy birthday, Dad. And there's just a lot happening. So I'm going to be really gentle with myself. This is one I'm planning to read, but it may be that I'm going to move some of my books over into December. Okay, so let's just get started. The first book that I'm going to read in November is, or one of the, I don't know what the order is going to be, but one of the books that I'm going to read is the second book in the Binti, I think it's a trilogy. But anyway, this is Binti Home by Nnedi Okorafor, and this is the sequel to Binti, that I buddy read with Pretty Brown Eye Reader, and we are going to buddy read the second novella together as well. If you are not a subscriber to Pretty Brown Eye Reader, you should be, because she is amazing and amazing to talk to about books. So I'm going to link I'm going to put a link to her YouTube channel in the description box. Okay, so Binti Home, I'll just read the back. It's been a year since Binti and the Meduse Okwu enrolled at Umza University. A year since Binti was declared a hero for uniting two warring planets. A year since she abandoned her family in the dawn of a new day. And now she must return home to her people, with her friend Okwu by her side, to face her family and her elders. Her experiences off-planet have changed her forever, and Binti will have to discover whether there is still a home for her on Earth. I'm really looking forward to this read. It already seems like it's a bit longer than the first book. The cover art is, I don't know if you'll be able to see this, but the cover art is absolutely amazing. I guess I could have just zoomed in, but you know. Yeah, there's just so much blue here. And I'm not sure if there's a connection to Yemaya here with the blue and the white and the wave-like, liquid-like hair connection. But anyway, Okorafor just never goes wrong, so I'm really looking forward to reading this. And speaking of Nnedi Okorafor, the next book that I'm going to be reading along with the SOULar Powered Afrofuturism book club, and I'm going to talk about that in a second, is A Kata Witch. So A Kata Witch is, it's written by Okorafor, and I'm going to read, no, I'm not going to read the back. Yes, I will read this side. Sunny lives in Nigeria, but she was born in New York City. She looks West African, but she's an albino. She's a terrific athlete, but she is so sensitive to the sun that she can't play soccer during the day. She doesn't seem to fit in anywhere. Then she learns why. Her classmate Orlu and his friend Chichi reveal that they have magical abilities, and so does she. Okay. Sunny is a free agent, overflowing with latent power, and she has a lot of catching up to do. Soon, Sunny's taking a crash course in magical history, spells, juju, shape-changing, and dimensional travel. But it's well worth all the exhaustion and sneaking around. But there's a dark side. Just as she's finding her footing, Sunny, with Orlu, Chichi, and their American friend Sasha, is asked by the magical authorities to help them track down a criminal. You can't just leave girls alone when they're learning that they have magic. Like, come on. State always has to get all up in there. Anyway, not just a run-of-the-mill bad guy, a real-life, hardcore serial killer with abilities far stronger than theirs. Ursula Le Guin and Diane Wynne-Jones are Nnedi Okorafor fans. As soon as you start reading A Kata Witch, you will be too. Well, I am already a fan of Nnedi Okorafor. I'm really looking forward to reading this with the awesome queer folk of SOULar Powered Afrofuturism Reading Group. And there are two things that I want to say about that. First of all, if you identify as queer and if you're a person of color and you're really interested in a book club that centers the experiences of us, then you might want to check out our Facebook page. We will ask you to answer 3 questions to join the group. It's a private group, but you can find us, and I'll link I'll link a link to the group in the description box below. Also, Nadia Okorafor, a couple of weeks ago, I believe now, or maybe it was last week, she put up a link to an article written by my favorite writer, Nalo Hopkinson, about the term Afrofuturism. And Nalo, I haven't read the article, but Nalo critiques Afrofuturism as well as Nadia Okorafor, as well as, in fact, probably the large majority of at least female Black science fiction fantasy writers, but also others. And I think that's, as somebody who has spent a lot of time using the term, and that term has defined the way that I read and my approach to certain things, that really challenged me. So I'm going to be doing a discussion video at some point about where I'm at in terms of the use of the term Afrofuturism, whether or not it remains a paradigm that will inform my own reading. So stay tuned. I'd like to share that with you, and perhaps for those of you who are interested in reading Afrofuturism and have booktube channels where you review Black science fiction, Black fantasy, Black magical realism, maybe you might have some thoughts about the term, how it emerged. And I guess, not to get into the whole discussion here, but the term Afrofuturism was coined by a person named Mark Derry in an article that he wrote called Black to the Future. And I believe that was the first time that the term Afrofuturism was used. And it was used to describe, and I think this is part of the problematic part, in addition to the fact that it's very American-centered, which as a Trinidadian by way of Canada, I can certainly appreciate. It kind of took everything that had happened from the past in terms of the American Black science fiction movement and called it this term, Afrofuturism. And I think that the way that Afrofuturism has been used as a concept has continued the marginalization of continental Africans and diasporic Africans from different parts of the world, and has really not acknowledged the fact that there have been writers and artists from outside of the US and outside of North America who have been challenging the norms of US science fiction, or haven't even contemplated or used science fiction as it exists in North America or the United States as their baseline forever. So in a way, it's pretty American-centered, and as a result of that, short-sighted in terms of the works that are honored as futuristic. And at the end of the day, there might be the question, and I'm just speculating, but there might be the question, like, when did Africans ever stop looking at the future? Right? So are we creating some false beginning of a conversation that ignores everything that's happened before and everything that continues to happen, and creates this trajectory that is really artificial, right? So anyway, I'm not sure what Hopkinson has to say about it. I know that Nadia Okorafor has just put out a TED Talk on the past and the future, and I'm really looking forward to watching that and hearing what she has to say, and having my thoughts deepen and become more critical about the terms that I use to describe the work that I enjoy. I think that most of the writers that I enjoy don't actually identify as Afrofuturists themselves. So I've never heard Nalo Hopkinson call herself an Afrofuturist. I've never heard N.K. Jemisin call herself an Afrofuturist. I've never heard Octavia Butler call herself an Afrofuturist. And I've certainly not heard Nadia Okorafor call herself an Afrofuturist. Most of the people who I hear calling themselves Afrofuturists are academics from the US. So that's something that is in my head that I'm thinking about. So stay tuned for a discussion. And if you have thoughts about this, I would love to hear them, and you can comment in the description below. Back to the November TBR. I am so excited about this book. So this is Strange Matings, and I'm going to turn it so I can read it. Strange Matings, Science Fiction, Feminism, African American Voices, and Octavia E. Butler. This is an anthology of essays written by edited by Rebecca J. Holden and Nisi Shawl. So I am so excited to get into this, and this is going to be my nod to Nonfiction November. This is the only nonfiction book that I am going to get through, or at least begin in November. And I'll read the back of this, and I hope that this inspires you to take a look at this book. Strange Matings seeks to continue Butler's uncomfortable insights about humanity, and also to instigate new conversations about Butler and her work. Conversations that encourage academic voices to talk to the private voices, the poetic voices to answer the analytic. How did her work affect conceptions of what science fiction is and could be? How did her portrayals of African Americans challenge accepted assumptions and affect others writing in the field? In what ways did her commitment to issues of race and gender express itself? How did this dual commitment affect the emerging field of overtly feminist science fiction? How did it affect the perception of her work? In what ways did Butler inspire other writers and change the face of science fiction? How did she queer science fiction? In what ways did she inspire us and motivate us to take up difficult subjects and tasks? In other words, what is her legacy? So the contributors to this anthology include Steve Barnes, Tananarive Dua, Rebecca Holden, Nadia Okorafor, Wendy Gay Pearson, Nisi Shawl, Louis Satish, Kate Schaefer, and others. So I can't wait to get into this. I'm a nerd. I love reading critical theory, critical race theory, black feminist thought, and I haven't read a lot of that since becoming a lawyer, which is another discussion. But I'm really looking forward to getting into this because I'm expecting that the essays in this anthology are going to speak to, like, I've read all of Octavia Butler's work, but I've never read any academic writing about her work. So I'm hoping that I'll be able to reconnect to the readings that I did several years ago through the lens of this critical, hopefully queer positive feminist critique. So yeah, this is Strange Matings. And then finally, and I'm not looking forward to this, so this is going to be really short. This is Concrete Park, and I bought it because I participated in the Get Graphic Readathon. I'm not going to like this, and I'm going to read it because I bought it, and then I'm going to get rid of it. So I just, I was watching a video, Perpetual Pages, which I'll link below. They're going to be reading Stephen King's It as a part of Tome Topple, and I really enjoyed how they described their approach. Their approach was like, I'm gonna hate a bunch of what I'm gonna read, but I'm still gonna read it, and I'm gonna critique it, and I'm gonna trash it, and it's just gonna be epic, and I'm really looking forward to their video on that. And I feel this way about Concrete Park. I'm not gonna like this. I think that this is a phallocentric, patriarchal, graphic novel that's probably not worth the paper that it's written on. Okay, so that is my judgment. I am ready to be changed in my views, but just looking through it, no. But anyway, whatever. I'm gonna put myself through this in November, and maybe my opinion will change, but I will definitely put up a review. So those four, this is a really long video, but those four books are what I'm going to be reading in November. That's my November TBR. To those of you who are participating in Tome Topple, congratulations. I really wanted to participate in it, but I don't think I'll be able to get through a book of over 500 pages. But if you are participating in Tome Topple and you would like to read science fiction by a black gay author, I would suggest that you consider Dahlgren. Dahlgren is written by the amazing Samuel R. Delaney. It is over 500 pages. This is 877 pages. Had I participated in Tome Topple, this is what I would have read, but I don't want to set myself up for failure. But if you want to diversify your reading and you're looking for a read that's definitely going to be a tome and interesting and award-winning, this would definitely be the pick for you. So one day I will read this, but in the meantime, you can read this. Thanks very much for watching, everyone, and have a great November.